This video outlines our understanding of compost sinking and the why and how we compost at Eaglerise Farm. Possibly more important, we can use composting as a way to highlight the need to gain an understanding of what we may want to do. If you only follow recipes, you'll not understand the intrigue and fascinating details of the whys and wherefores of what we do. How can you manage something if you don't understand the basics of how it works? We need to understand the consequences of our actions. Compost is a fascinating process, really. First though, it's important to note that all living things can be composted. They share a fundamental composition of complex molecules made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, along with various nutrients, which is what we are trying to unlock and make available to our plants. Some of these compounds have strong bonds and take their time to break down, while others might even attract critters, which means we need to be watchful if they're going to make them part of our compost pile. However, the beauty of composting is that everything composts eventually. If it lived, it will compost. This amazing process of composting speeds up nature's own cycle of material breakdown and release. At its core, composting breaks open the carbon chains that plants have meticulously built. This releases the energy they captured from the sun during photosynthesis and also provides us with valuable products like fertiliser, soil amendments, and can be further processed to make biological compost tea. These are key resources for enriching our gardens and crops. Another fantastic benefit is that composting transforms nutrients into forms that are readily available by plants, ensuring that nothing goes to waste. Plus, it helps in getting rid of weed seeds and also significantly reduces the amount of waste sent to landfills. By engaging in composting, we're not just helping our gardens, we're contributing to a more sustainable world. The story starts with photosynthesis, a key element in the cycle of life. Here's the magic. Carbon dioxide, water and energy, with the help of chlorophyll, come together to produce complex glucose and oxygen. This process is essential because it's how plants make their food and release the oxygen we breathe while capturing the sun's energy. Remember, this transformation is not just chemistry, it's life in action, supporting ecosystems across the world. We need to think about how this process fuels the growth of plants and enriches our environment. Once the plants have loaded up with glucose, some of it is broken down to release energy. The remaining is assimilated into physical materials such as cellulose for cell walls, starch for storing as seeds, tubers, etc., or lipids as cell membranes and energy storage, and also in the forms of amino acids for creating proteins for enzymes and structural growth. To do this, the plants take up nutrients from the soil. The common ones are nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Grazing animals then consume these plant materials with their energy and nutrients and convert them into animal material and waste products. When the animal's digestive tract breaks up the plant material, it breaks down these long-chain carbohydrate molecules and the energy is released. In our farming systems, some of this energy is transformed into animal products such as meat, milk, fat or wool. Some of this energy keeps the animals warm and some is passed on to the environment. The original sun's energy gets recirculated throughout the whole system. We need to focus on different types of compost. Each type can benefit both our gardens and the environment. First up, aerated hot compost. This method is quick and highly efficient, but requires consistent monitoring and turning to maintain airflow and heat. It's great for those who want results fast and enjoy being hands-on. Now let's talk about worm compost. This slow and natural process uses worms to break down waste, producing nutrient-rich worm juice and castings. It's a wonderful option for those who prefer a more passive approach and enjoy the added benefit of liquid fertiliser. Next is trench composting. This is an easy system where you bury household waste directly into a trench. It requires minimal effort and integrates waste management seamlessly into your garden routine. Finally, we have cold compost. This method involves simply piling up scraps in a bin. It requires less labour but takes more time to decompose. For those with patience, this is an excellent way to recycle kitchen and garden waste with minimal intervention. Each method has its own unique strengths, so consider your preferences and garden needs when choosing the right composting technique for you. Efficient composting is all about the carbon to nitrogen ratio. As said earlier, if it lived, it can compost. Here we have lots of examples of nitrogen inputs, commonly called the greens. Lots of garden waste, kitchen scraps, even coffee grounds compost well. Chicken manure offers a tremendous supply of nitrogen. Carbon is often described as the browns, often dry, fibrous plant material, sawdust, dry leaves, straw, not the succulent materials in the green section. We sometimes add eggshells to our compost. We dry them and crush them first. This provides a better surface area to volume ratio and helps the biology break them down to release their valuable calcium. There are some items you should avoid adding to your compost pile. Firstly, cardboard with plastic linings and glossy paper. These materials don't decompose well and can introduce unwanted chemicals and microplastics. Next, pet manure should be added to a different system, such as a worm tower, instead of the compost pile. This helps prevent the spread of certain pathogens and the worms break it down in an area not used for food growing. The main one of contention is from cat droppings and causes toxoplasmosis. A tower buries them immediately. A hot compost will kill these pathogens, but must be carefully monitored to ensure it reaches the right temperature. Probably best just use a worm tower. Finally, avoid all plastics, glass, metal and synthetic clothing like nylon and polyester. These materials don't break down like natural fibres and they can contaminate your compost and then your garden. Woolen and pure cotton clothes are quite suitable to be put in your compost. Just watch out for buttons and zips. Remember, choosing the right materials is crucial for creating a healthy compost. I want to delve into the essential elements of hot composting. I like to think of a hot compost as a complete living organism. It needs the same essential things as we need. First, water is crucial to move things around in your compost pile. It helps distribute nutrients and supports microbial activity. Next, carbon acts as the energy source. Think of it as the fuel that powers the composting process. It has all that sunlight energy locked up from photosynthesis earlier on. Oxygen is another key player. It allows a composting organism to breathe and function effectively. In the absence of oxygen, the process would become anaerobic and not produce a good compost. Lastly, nitrogen is vital for building the body of the compost. Think of it like a protein shake. Found in green materials like grass clippings, it works together with carbon to create a balanced, thriving compost environment. Remember, hot composting is all about maintaining the right balance of these elements. When exploring the intriguing world of composting, we need an understanding of the carbon to nitrogen ratio. The ideal carbon to nitrogen ratio stands at about 25 to 30 parts carbon for 1 part nitrogen. This equilibrium is vital as microorganisms within your compost requires the sun's energy locked up in the long-chain carbon molecules to efficiently decompose the nitrogen-rich green materials. Here are some examples. Straw has a high carbon ratio of 80 to 1, making a great carbon source. Chicken manure, in contrast, is rich in nitrogen with a ratio of 6 to 10 to 1. Food scraps from the kitchen typically fall in the middle with a ratio of 15 to 20 to 1. You really want a moisture content similar to a wrung out sponge. That's the way it's often described. It's a good one too. If your soil is deficient in micronutrients, you can consider adding a small quantity of crushed rock dust. The microbes can start breaking it down to release the nutrients and it can get spread throughout your compost. Many recipes call for adding aged compost or compost tea or some other inoculant. Are we trying to control everything or manage a living organism? There should be enough live biology on your materials in the pile to get the process going. Keep in mind that achieving this balance is essential for fostering a healthy composting environment. It's all about supplying the right energy for the microorganisms to flourish. Let's talk about the ideal pile for your compost. When you have everything in balance, enough water, aerated pile, plenty of carbon and enough greens, then everything should be looking good. Your temperature will go up and down as you turn the pile, and you'll end up with a sweet-smelling compost containing all your valuable nutrients. If you think of your pile as a living organism, and your biology consuming all the nitrogen and breaking down all the complex carbon molecules, then you can think of your end result as a pile of bacteria dung. Everything consumed and converted. Many people recommend a pile size of 1 metre by 1 metre by 1 metre. Consider going a bit larger. If you build a pile that's 1.2 by 1.2 by 1.2 metres, you're actually increasing the volume by 50%. The larger size provides more bulk for a stable temperature. Why does this matter? A larger pile can yield a significant volume of better finished compost. This means more nutrients remain in the pile to enrich your garden, resulting in healthier plants and soil. Remember, the size of your compost pile of a well-balanced material can impact the composting process and the final result. It's a simple adjustment that can make a big difference to produce a sweet-smelling compost. Let's dive into the art of turning your compost. According to Cornell Composting, turning isn't about following a recipe. It's about responding to your pile's needs. It's about understanding what is happening in the living pile. When the biology within your compost, carbon, nitrogen and oxygen and moisture, begin to break down, you'll notice the temperature of the pile dropping. That's your cue to turn it and putting the greens in contact with the browns again. This action revitalises the pile, causing the temperature to rise again, although often not as high as before. It's crucial to recognise when the pile's temperature stops rising. This means the composting process is complete. No more greens and browns left to fuel the biology. Some people then allow the stabilisation before applying the compost to your pile. This process ensures your compost is rich and ready to nourish your plants. World of hot composting. At the start, our compost pile is like a lively party with plenty of carbon, nitrogen and oxygen and water. A good party needs plenty of different food, plenty of drinks, lots of friends and some air for cooling off when you get hot. This combination kicks off a bustling release of energy. As the party progresses, the compost pile shrinks and the energy release lessens. This is when it needs a good turning to mix up the remaining ingredients, putting the carbon in touch with the nitrogen again. It's like someone arriving late at the party with a pizza and more drinks, but the party might not be as wild, but there might still be some action happening there. Eventually, the party winds down. All the compostable ingredients have broken down and the energy is settled. This means our composting process is complete. The party is over. All that may be left is some pizza crust and half a bottle of hot flat drink. Remember, a hot compost pile is like a party that gradually winds down. It's all about maintaining the right balance to keep things lively until the end. Life is full of challenges. What happens when the compost pile is out of balance and breaks down anaerobically? When there's no oxygen, the process slows down significantly. This not only takes longer but also attracts pests, like gate crashes to your party that take over the music machine and give off bad vibes. If it is too wet, you may see leachate flowing away from the pile, more loss of valuable nutrients. Again, gate crashes barging in and tipping over all your party drinks and lowering the party energy. Another downside is the loss of nitrogen as ammonia. This nitrogen is exactly what you are trying to capture and make available to your plants, not let drift off in the air. You might also notice a distinct rotten egg smell, which is not pleasant and indicates that the pile is generating minimal heat. This results in less efficient nutrient conversion. Despite these challenges, it's important to note that this method will eventually produce some sort of usable compost, but you have lost a lot of your nutrients. Invite only your specific guests, the ones that get on well together, and cater for them carefully. We cannot understate the essential for creating that perfect compost is balance. We need to look at this from many angles to ensure our maximum understanding, especially about what may go wrong. Starting with the basics, we need carbon, nitrogen, water and oxygen. These are the key players in ensuring a good balance for composting. When things start to go wrong, your pile may become dry or soggy. This imbalance could lead to an anaerobic environment, which is not what we want. Anaerobic conditions can cause a smelly compost, attract pests, and indicate it's not heating or composting effectively. Remember, a soggy or slimy pile means trouble, as it encourages pests and slows down the process. Conversely, if it's too dry, it won't heat up properly. In summary, keeping a good balance is crucial. Address any issues promptly and keep the process efficient and your compost healthy. This understanding and troubleshooting should be becoming natural by now. But let's dive into some common problems you might encounter while composting and how to troubleshoot them effectively. First, if your compost isn't breaking down, it might either be too cold or too hot. For a pile that's too hot, ensure that you're adding enough greens to aerate the pile. If it's too cold, add small browns for energy and aerate to kickstart the decomposition process. Next, the infamous ammonia smell. This indicates too much nitrogen. You can balance this by adding browns and aerating the pile. This will lock up that nitrogen and make it available for your plants later on. Moving on to pests and insects, often a sign of too much moisture. Here, mixing in browns and ensuring proper aeration can help solve the issue. Remember to also turn in any food scraps and cover them well and add browns to deter unwanted guests. Lastly, if your compost is too wet, add more browns and aerate it. If it's slimy, enhance drainage and cover it appropriately. Could be rain. For slow decomposition, add more greens and consider enlarging the pile. Give it a bigger bulk mass. Troubleshooting can seem daunting, but these simple steps will maintain a healthy compost pile. Remember, understand that a compost pile can be looked at as a living organism. Now, let's look at how to build an effective lasagna pile. This method is renowned for achieving the optimum carbon-nitrogen ratio, essential for effective composting. But are these layers the best option? The key here is how thick to layer your materials. You'll want to alternate between browns and greens. Browns are your carbon-rich materials like dried leaves and straw, while greens are your nitrogen-rich such as kitchen scraps and grass clippings. As you build the pile, be sure to mix in air and water. This combination helps materials decompose evenly and efficiently. Some people recommend placing sticks within the pile to increase aeration. But I can guarantee you will have something to say about that when you start turning the pile and keep jamming your fork into the sticks. Also, it's not just about aeration. The carbon needs to be near the nitrogen too. Many recipes call for thick layers, but where is the optimum carbon-nitrogen ratio? It's at the edges between the brown and green layers. You don't get a homogeneous pile until you've turned it in and mixed everything up. Remember, it's all about balance. Mixing as you build a thin layer of browns topped with a generous sprinkle of greens, and then repeat until completed, ensures that the pile remains aerated and moist but not soggy. Crucial conditions for successful composting. Keep multi-layering and turning and you'll have rich, nutrient-dense compost in no time. A true lasagna has the pasta as definite layers, but the sauce, the bechamel, and the cheese are pretty much integrated between the pasta. A spoon of sauce smeared over the pasta, a spoon of bechamel spooned over the top or into the sauce, and some cheese pushed into the mix. The compost needs browns integrated too. Steer away from recipes advocating thick layers. Remember, the party doesn't start until the carbon meets the nitrogen and they have a drink and inhale a lot of oxygen as they dance. Let's explore how to effectively apply your compost in the garden. You have spent much time and energy collecting composting materials, constructing the pile, caring for it, turning, watering it and waiting. You don't want to waste your final valuable product. First, it's important to understand that a general broadcast of compost can actually encourage weeds between your target plants. All that work to fertilise weeds? I don't think so. To avoid this, focus on applying compost directly to the seed rows and around the plants. This targeted approach ensures that the nutrients are concentrated where they are most needed, maximising the efficiency of your compost. Next season, you'll probably plant in a slightly different spot and place your compost there. So over time, you will spread the compost across your whole garden bed, generally increasing their fertility. Compost is an important job. It's good to get the optimum value from your endeavours. Additionally, using mulch can help smother any competitive weeds, providing further protection and maintaining soil moisture. By applying compost strategically, you not only enhance plant growth, but maximise your compost value by preventing wastage between rows. This method allows your garden to thrive with minimal input. Recipes. There will always be someone telling you what and how to do something as if there is no other way. Seek understanding of what you are trying to do and achieve. This is what works for us at Eaglerise Farm. Understanding is knowledge and knowledge is power. Take power in your composting, develop your system with knowledge and enjoy the fruits of your labour.